require a little effort on your part and make no beep, 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 beeps. On your way, please.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of VFX, Ask the VFX Pros. This time we're taking you all the way to Hamburg, Germany, to interview a person that is starting out in the VFX industry in Germany. And his name is Eric Prochnow. And tell me if I said that wrong, please. If not, please
no, it's totally fine. It's very good. Very good.
Okay. So Eric first came to me and started asking, I think he actually started getting into my website and actually going through, I think it was my live action CG. I think it was Nuke 103 maybe? Yeah,
it was the wall break tutorial.
The wall break tutorial. So he was always very supportive of the website and so forth, and I always wanted to get the feedback of artists, not just senior level, but also junior level, like artists, beginners that are basically coming out of an education of Germany, and also just getting started in an industry that's starting to move towards, from what I've noticed, Germany, Russia, China, and India. And I'm sure there's other locations that I'm not calling out right now. But if you wouldn't mind, sir, if you could just give an introduction to our audience here, what would you say is just your background into your career in compositing, your schooling?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, first of all, thank you for having me here. I feel honored, really. And my name is Eric. I'm 22 years old, and I currently work as a junior compositor at D-Facto Motion here in Hamburg. And I started with VFX a long time ago when I was around 12 or 13 or so. I played around with After Effects and do all kind of stuff with it, some Andrew Kramer tutorials and so on. And I found about Video Hive, if you ever heard of it, a marketplace. And I started over there to earn some money on the side as a teenager. So it was a very big income, and so I was like, yeah, this is my passion, my hobby, and I can go and make business with it. And why not start out and studying motion design or film or something like that, going into VFX. And then I started studying at the BTK, which is called Berlin Technische Hochschule, which is like technical high school or film high school Berlin, which is also here in Germany, and they also have a college in Hamburg. So I started there studying film and motion design. And last year in April I got my Bachelor of Arts in Film and Motion Design, and now I'm here and working as a junior compositor.
Cool. How would you say that the schooling, is there a lot of schooling, or is it just started up as far as the schooling for VFX in Germany?
In my opinion, it's starting up now. It's more and more, but I was also in Hamburg on this school. I was the first group of people who started this and the bachelor degree on film and motion design. So, and I also searched around Germany where I can also study motion design or VFX. So there are a few schools, but they are all very expensive, and they are always private, or most of them. So it's not that easy in Germany to get an education in VFX or, it's almost with an IT school or something, you can go into this direction, but not a full motion design or VFX graduate.
How many would you say major VFX production companies are in Germany, and where are they located?
Very good question. I don't actually know a number, but I know the bigger ones are in the south of Germany, and big ones like Scanline, Trickster, Pixelmondo. We also have Make Vision or Market Vision here in Hamburg, for example, which is a global player. They are the most big studios, I guess.
Sounds like you might be moving south.
Yeah, it would be a good idea when I want to stay in VFX. Or actually go on freelance here, but in Hamburg, it's most of it's commercial and film and VFX is more in the south of Germany.
South of Germany. Well, that's good to know. Do you find even maybe where you're at, and again, I might be kind of asking you something you may not know, or but you find in the area of VFX in Hamburg, do you find any artists that are brought in to the VFX houses in your area that actually come from, say, LA or another country or anything like that?
Well, actually, I don't know anyone who are from another country. I only work with Germans yet.
Gotcha. So, when you went to school, did they really cover Nuke, or was it mostly just After Effects?
Most of it was After Effects, and actually when I was in my 7th semester, so while I was working on my final bachelor degree, they got a new course, and it was very new, very special, and I was like, okay, thank you. That would have been great if I could do it, but yeah, it doesn't work for me now. And now they have a new course, and they're also more into the visual effects, and especially Nuke and Maya, and also more 3D stuff. So it's growing and growing.
What would you consider to be some of the best resources as far as online, excluding mine, of course?
Yeah, those are pretty good. I watched a lot of your tutorials. Well, actually, for compositing or VFX in a whole nutshell?
Yeah, specifically, say, compositing, that you find would be helpful.
For compositing, I would definitely say FX PhD, where I learned a lot, which is, I would say, a classic site where you can learn very much, a lot of good stuff, especially compositing. And also I would recommend, US Desk. We all know him from your last interview. He's a very great guy, very great tutorials. His breakdowns are very cool, and you definitely learn a lot from it. Also, we have Pluralsight.
Pluralsight, yeah.
Yeah, Pluralsight. Yeah, you also have some codes over there, I guess. Yeah. This is also a very cool website.
There's also a couple of online resources I noticed that are really kicking butt. One is Rebel Way. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah, I don't work on it, but I saw it on the website, I guess.
It's more along the lines of like Houdini stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's also the VFXschool.com. So I actually thought about those guys. They actually just released a pretty amazing. Seems like there's a lot of Houdini training really being pushed now. Just part of it, but. Even for myself, I want to start doing more live action Houdini, where you take a scene and bring it into Houdini and put the live action in, because I think that would be helpful for compositors, But do you see anything lacking in the online education world in regards to compositing?
Well, when you take a look, for example, at FX PhD, I think it's a great way by paying once a month, and you get the full video. You can download the files, and it's very, very cheap, in my opinion.
What I found about FX PhD was it seems like they've slowed down their release of new content, and I'm not sure why. It just seems very odd. I don't think they're not hurting or nothing, obviously, and I've actually met a few guys that founded FX PhD, which was actually created here in Chicago at first, when it started out through a company called Hootenanny, which is a VFX house here in Chicago. Okay. And I know personally a series of the people there, and they're all awesome folks. So I'm hoping that FX PhD starts to put out more material, because there's good stuff in there. Yeah, I just think they just need more of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would be great. Would be really great.
So my next question here is, and this one you can plead the fifth if you wish in American slang here, but. From your perspective, do you have any criticism so far regarding the industry, the unions, collaborations with clients, and so forth?
Well, actually, till now, not that much, because I'm in the industry for around 6 months now. And the only thing I would criticize is it's very hard for juniors to get into the industry, especially here in Hamburg or in Germany in general. If you don't know the right people or people from this industry, it's very hard to get into this as a junior. But I think that's a general problem. you always read this in YouTube comments like, "Well, don't go into comp because you won't get any jobs," and so on. And yeah, I would say this is definitely also a problem here.
I have. I'm going to go ahead and just show you your, show your website here. You guys are curious, you want to check him out. Again, I'm going to tear it apart. Eric Prochnow, and this is his website. Very simple website. Again, he's got his demo reel. Again, download. You look like a superhero here, man. I don't know.
Thank you.
So again, the one thing I like about Eric is just he's very, very excited, very supportive, and I keep telling my students this more than anything. It's the attitude, the personality of just being supportive and being encouraging to others that really, really makes a difference when you do go into this industry and so forth. So, is there any other links? We know. Why don't we check out your reel if you don't mind? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, go for it.
Very nice reel, Eric.
Thank you so much.
If you don't mind, I'd like to take the volume down and just sort of play it up in the corner here.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
you can kind of give me a breakdown as far as what you did in some of these shots. So let me just put you in the corner here and hit play. There we go.
Yeah, these are some shots I worked on at my time at Caesar here in Hamburg, and which was for Saturn, which is a big electronic market. Yeah, this one is a personal project where I like to show how to pull the key, or that I can actually pull the key, yeah, make a whole composition with background and so on. This is an FX PhD tutorial.
I think anybody that got through that tutorial and actually linked up all the files should get a job at a major studio.
Yeah, this is actually clean plate, clean up the shot. Yeah, this is your tutorial. Guys, be sure to check out this course. It's very great. You will learn a lot from it.
You know what? I'm kind of embarrassed at the end of the shot, and I can see everybody always cuts away at the end of the shot because of the way the CG looks. I'm like, anyway. Was this done in Nuke?
This is cleanup over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what that was actually done in Nuke. It's with a production, you know. Yeah, this is also animated in After Effects. You know, the graphs and so on. This Alpha Mobile kind of app design, and of course then.
So all the graphics design work was you.
Yeah, that was all of
cool. And then just a four-corner pin. Would you guys just put 4 pieces of tape on there, or did you use the Hugo's app that he talks about? Okay, cool. So I think I just got a couple more questions here, and
yes.
I'll go ahead and close it up with that. It's not going to be as long interview, say, as Hugo's interview. What are the most in-demand needs for compositors today, and what separates the OK artist from the long-term professionals?
Well, in my opinion, beside of being great in the technical aspects and nuke and photography and knowing about cameras and all this stuff, it's also, or the most important is the spirit, in my opinion, or the strive to become better, and also to push and motivate the whole team, or the younger artists especially. So, for example, you can have a guy who's great in compositing and who does a great job, but he's like this, well, okay, it's my work, I do this job, okay, now I go home, and yeah, that's it. And if you want something from me, that's not my job. And the professional, in my opinion, is this guy say, oh, well, you can do like this and that, and you can use this technique, and I will show you, and let's do this. So, these kind of motivated, dedicated persons will keep up getting better all the years, and yeah, really try to give back something to the other artists, or to the younger artists especially. This is what I would actually call a professional, or what is especially important for professional artists or leading artists. Yeah.
Do you have any aspirations to travel internationally to these other VFX houses? I'm just curious.
Of course, if it's possible, and if there is any chance that I can get to work for bigger studios in, I don't know, LA or America, London, I don't know, would be a great experience, and for sure
Is there, from what you've heard, is it very difficult for someone from Germany to move to these different locations versus somebody else with visas and all that, or?
Well, the visa, when you're from Germany, it's almost very easy to get into other countries, especially if you have a bachelor degree. There wouldn't be any problem to move to, I don't know, London or the United States or anything. In my experience, and I never heard of something or someone who said, well, they don't let me in because I'm from Germany. So,
I gotcha. Well, thanks a bunch for coming on. Again, we'll probably, what I like to do is revisit artists, maybe, who knows, maybe a year from now or something, and see how they're doing, just so there's a reality. And also for your viewers, if you notice, I didn't really ask any questions in regards to the questions that are still posted up on the site. I'm gonna wait for our next interview, which I believe the next one will be somebody from Double Negative, who's working on this person's finishing up on Wonder Woman 1984. So that should be our next interview. I'll make it a surprise who is it at the end. But again, thank you, Eric, for coming on, and we look forward to seeing what you're going to be doing in the future.
Yeah, thank you for letting me.